A millionaire who has cash lying all around his house decides to show off by throwing some notes outside. However, when he does so, the notes quickly evaporate as if an external force has burnt them. Shocked, the man takes out an expensive painting and places it half outside his house's boundary, and just like the notes, the outer half of the painting evaporates. To make matters more bizarre, if a human gets out of the house, he or she ages extremely fast and fades to ashes within minutes. But it was not always like this for the man and his wife, as just a few days back, they moved into this house. The man is Matt, a painter, while his wife Kate works as a translator. The couple is currently moving to their newly purchased home in upstate New York for a fresh start. The strange thing about this property is that its price is extremely low as compared to other houses, and every year, it keeps dropping. It's almost as if no one wants to buy it. When Kate sees the eerie-looking house, she has second thoughts about the move, but Matt assures her that they're going to do just fine. Matt hasn't watched enough movies. Kate is startled by a dead bird inside a cupboard in the kitchen. Meanwhile, on the first floor, Matt comes across a strange key-like object in a pile of junk. Kate pities the dead bird outside and wants to give it a proper burial, but after she puts it on the ground, she is startled by Matt flew away. Later, as Matt is busy arranging the rooms, he comes across a strange hole in the wall. Curious, he peels off the old wallpaper from around it and notices a peculiar-looking cavity. Matt stares at it for a while and realizes that the patterns match the strange key he found earlier. He quickly fetches the key and places it on the cavity. Lo and behold, the wall is revealed to be a secret door, and it leads to a large hidden room. Taken aback, Matt calls his wife to check out the revelation, and so the two start exploring. But as soon as they set foot into the room, the lights around the house begin to flicker. As a result, they hold off on their plan to explore and instead call the power company. The next day, an employee from the power company arrives, and Matt escorts him to the basement, which shockingly has thousands and thousands of entangled wires. The sight is so strange that even the experienced electrician claims that he has never seen anything like it. He also tells Matt that there's nothing that can be done about the fluctuating electricity, as the wires are just too complex. On his way out, the electrician expresses his astonishment at someone finally buying this property. When Matt presses him for more information, the power company employee reveals that the previous owners of the house were brutally killed inside the property. Matt is caught off guard by the revelation, and out of curiosity, he researches about the previous owners on the internet. Apparently, the house is labeled as the House of Blood by the media, and it belonged to a couple named Paul and Madeline Schaefer. The couple were murdered by a man whose identity is famously known to the media as John Doe of the House of Blood. Currently, the murderer is locked up in a psychiatric facility. After working all day, Matt heads to the strange room and helps himself to a bottle of drink. He quickly empties it and wishes for another, just like any alcoholic. Suddenly, the lights go out, and when they come back again, a bottle appears out of nowhere in front of him. It seems as if the room has granted his wish. Matt is shocked, and he nervously picks up the bottle, confirming that it is very much real. This is an addict's worst nightmare. The next morning, Kate wakes up to an empty house. She looks for her husband everywhere before eventually locating him in the dark room. To her surprise, it is now full of eclectic items, including the original Mona Lisa painting. Kate nervously asks Matt where he got the stuff, to which he explains that the room can grant them all their materialistic wishes. She naturally finds this hard to believe, so Matt encourages her to make a wish. She wishes for $1 million, and after the lights flicker, several bundles of cash appear out of nowhere. Kate is astonished, but she's also spooked. She finds the whole thing sketchy, so she proceeds to leave. However, Matt stops her and convinces her to have some fun. Kate eventually agrees, and the couple spend their whole evening ordering champagne, money, and making love. Ah, the wish of any married man. Soon, Kate begins to wonder how the whole thing works, but Matt are getting everything they want. The scene then cuts to the next day. The couple now have all the things in the world, but Kate gets depressed when she realizes that they are all materialistic things, which don't have any real value. To cheer her up, Matt suggests they try for a child. It's then revealed that the couple have had trouble conceiving a child in the past, and Kate has suffered from 2 miscarriages previously. The suggestion angers Kate, as the couple had previously agreed to accept their fate and never try for another child. She asserts that she can't put herself through that pain again, and storms out of the room. Matt regrets bringing it up, but he decides to let her be on her own for a while and goes out for a drive. However, when he returns home, he learns that Kate has used the room to create a baby. Enraged, he immediately confronts her about the decision, saying that they don't know about its consequences. After getting into a small argument, Matt tells Kate to use the room to uncreate the baby. However, her maternal instincts kick in and she refuses. Left with no choice, Matt himself decides to finish the task, but when the baby starts crying, he feels sad and changes his mind. In this way, the couple decides to adopt the baby and raise it as their own. Over time, the baby begins to occupy most of Kate's time, causing her to slowly drift away from her husband. One day, a bored Matt decides to visit John Doe at the psychiatric facility to learn more about the room. Before leaving, he grabs a bunch of cash from the secret room and heads to town. At the facility, it is revealed that no one has visited John Doe for over 45 years. Posing as a reporter, Matt asks John why he killed the Schaefers, but the murderer figures out that Matt is lying and that he is the new owner of the House of Blood. He doesn't speak much and simply advises Matt and his wife to abandon the house as soon as possible for their own good. However, John knows that Matt won't move out because he is driven by greed. On his way back home, Matt stops to refuel his car, but when it comes time to pay, he learns that the cash he brought from the magical room has turned into dust. Taken aback, he rushes home and throws a bunch of cash outside the house. To his disbelief, the money immediately turns into ash. He then leaves the house, and surprisingly, the outside half corrodes away. Eager to find answers, Matt tries to break down the walls of the room, but only finds endless networks of wires. Just then, he notices Kate taking the baby out for some fresh air. Matt knows that this will end in tragedy, but he decides not to stop her. Surprisingly, as soon as the baby steps out of the boundary, he ages into a young child within seconds. This sends Kate into a state of shock, and she screams for help. After the couple bring the boy back inside the home, Kate bathes him and finally gives him a name, Shane. Here it is revealed that if any object is thrown out of the house's boundary, it will disappear immediately. But if a living organism ventures outside, they will age at a rapid rate and eventually disappear. In the next scene, Kate puts the boy to sleep and confronts her husband about the room. Matt finally comes clean and tells her about the murder of the previous owners and John Doe. He also tells her how things disappear when they exit the house, meaning that Shane has to be kept confined for the rest of his life. Hearing this, Kate breaks down in tears. Several days pass by, and Kate starts to homeschool Shane. She also keeps him from venturing outside, telling him that he is sick and that there are germs outside. However, the boy quickly gets fed up with staying indoors and begins to take his frustrations out on his mother. If Bubble Boy can do it, I can do it, he says. Nevertheless, Kate loves him a lot, as if he is her own. Almost all of her time is spent looking after Shane, and expectedly, this begins to take a toll on her marriage. On the other hand, Matt develops an interest in shooting. It helps him forget about his depressing reality. Meanwhile, little Shane continues to try and sneak outside. As a result, Kate is forced to board up all the windows and doors, except for the front door. One day, she gets into an argument with Matt, and the little Shane overhears his father calling him a figment of imagination. Later that night, a curious Shane ventures into the secret room and learns about its magical powers. He then spends the whole night researching the place. The next day, the couple finds the boy inside the room. To their surprise, he has transformed the place into an outside space. Kate is amazed by her son's intelligence, but Matt gets upset and drags the boy outside the room and hides the key. Suddenly, the phone rings and Shane picks up the call. It's revealed that it's a call from John Doe. Matt quickly snatches the phone back from Shane and warns John against ever calling his house. However, the murderer mentions that he heard Shane's voice and asks who wished for the child. Matt admits that Kate created him and inquires if there is any way to stop a room-created object from turning to ash. In reply, John starts unraveling everything. He reveals that he too was a child object to escape the house unscathed. The person who created it must die. It turns out John's parents wanted him to live, so they sacrificed themselves, which allowed John to become a part of the real world. This means if Kate dies, Shane will be able to live outside the house. As Matt listens to everything in disbelief, Kate overhears the conversation from another phone. Devastated, she leaves the house and drives away in hopes of crashing her car. However, she can't bring herself to do it. While Kate is away, Shane pesters his dad with questions about the room. Annoyed, Matt tells him that he's not a real child and tries to drag him outside. But the boy breaks free and runs back to his room. Matt quickly realizes his mistake and apologizes to Shane for his bad behavior. Later, when Kate returns home, she finds the two of them sleeping next to each other. Matt follows her to the kitchen and reconciles with her. Soon the two have coitus, and unbeknownst to them, Shane watches it all go down. Well, that's another way to grow up too fast. The next morning, the creepy kid steals the keys from Kate's pocket and ventures outside the house. When the couple wake up, they learn that Shane stepped outside and aged himself into a man. However, Shane still has the mind of a child. He is furious with Kate for lying to him about the germs and points a gun at them. However, Matt manages to tackle him down, knocking Kate out in the process. Later, she wakes up with Matt by her side with a sad face. He informs her that during their tussle, Shane got shot and passed away. He also mentions that he took their son's body outside, after which it immediately vanished. Distraught, Kate rushes outside to find her son, but to no avail. Following this, we are shown the real Matt, gaining consciousness in an empty house. He looks for Kate but fails to locate her. He then notices the lights outside the hidden room flickering. Realizing that someone is using the room, Matt tries to enter, but learns that it is locked from inside. Therefore, he tears a large hole in the wall and gains access into the room. The room is still a fantasy world created by the psychotic Shane. Matt walks through a replica of his house. It turns out after knocking Matt out, Shane shapeshifted into Matt and took Kate to the cloned home. There, he forces himself on a grieving Kate, but fortunately, she realizes that it is Shane pretending to be her husband and runs to another room. Shortly after, the real Matt eventually arrives, and Kate comes out of hiding. However, the other Matt also arrives and confuses her, as Kate is caught in a dilemma between the two. The real Matt calls her by her childhood name. This helps her identify the imposter, who she promptly pushes down the stairs. The impact reverts Shane to his true form. Meanwhile, Matt and Kate try to run, but the room begins to malfunction and the house turns into a puzzle. Shane eventually gains consciousness and catches up to the couple. He stabs Matt to death, much to Kate's horror. She breaks into tears and Shane tries to comfort her, but just then, he notices the real couple outside, making their way to the exit of the room. It turns out the couple cloned themselves to distract the psychopath. That's dark. Those clones surely had real feelings. Shane follows them to the real world and lunges at Matt in anger, but he grasps him and forces him out of the door, and Kate quickly locks it from inside. Shane quickly ages, turning into a duplicate of John Doe. He cries and begs her to let him back inside, but she stands her ground, and in a matter of seconds, Shane dies and turns into a pile of ash. With this, the couple finally gets rid of their tormentor. A month passes by. Matt and Kate have left the home for good and are living in a motel. The movie ends as Kate looks at a positive pregnancy test in horror, unsure if the child belongs to Matt or Shane. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.